Welcome back to the Coaching Conversation series. As always, I am Coach Chidinma, and today we're going to be having an interesting conversation on one of the coaching skills, reframing. Reframing sounds simple. It just sounds like helping someone to see the situation differently. But when done well, framing actually shifts the direction of a coaching conversation. And when done badly, it could feel like just a positive reinforcement or positive questioning. We're here today with Coach Femi Odelusi to unpack what reframing actually looks like in practice. Hello, Coach Femi. Great to have you with us today.
Hello, thank you for having me on the show.
Amazing. So we met you at one of our last episodes, and you said just one thing that you want. If you just introduce yourself briefly, that would be great for anyone just.
Yes, thank you so much. Femi Odelusi, I'm an ICF accredited coach at PCC level. I'm also the Director of Education and Credential Standard for the Nigeria chapter of ICF.
Great to have you here with us once again, Coach Femi.
Thank you.
So what does reframing actually look like in a coaching conversation?
Wow, that's a very powerful question on an equally powerful topic, reframing. Oftentimes, I like to package reframing with a new description. I call it the perspective shift. So as I engage in conversation with you today, you're going to hear me talk about perspective shift quite a lot. One idea that I like to sow into the minds of listeners is great coaching rarely changes a client's circumstance. It changes the way clients see those circumstances. So when perspectives change, possibilities begin to emerge. If viewers remember only one idea after our time together today, then they should remember perspective shift. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Femi. For anyone who just may not be sure exactly what reframing means, I know you have sort of moved that into perspective shifts. Can you just briefly explain the term?
I will certainly do that. Now, one thing I love most about coaching is that we do not always need to change a client's reality. Oftentimes, we simply help them to see things differently. And that is, in a very small nutshell, what reframing means. Now, let me explain a little bit. With our clients, the facts may remain unchanged. Organizations may not change. The manager may not change. The challenges they face may still exist. Reframing is when their perspective changes. And what's the result of a perspective shift? New possibilities, new choices become visible for them. That's why I believe reframing is one of the most powerful skills that a coach should, must, and can develop. And that explains the perspective shift.
Great. Thank you so much, Coach Femi. So could you share of a time where you particularly used, I'm sure you used that, but is there one that stands out for you where you had sort of reframed?
Absolutely. Absolutely will do. So rather than homing on one particularly, let me just put it into context. Whether coaching executives, whether I'm mentor coaching, or whether I'm assessing coaching conversations, I've noticed one thing in particular, and that thing remains consistent. Here's the fact: clients rarely arrive with a lack of intelligence, so they are really capable intellectually. They arrive with a fixed perspective. They look at things from one dimension. They have examined the same situation from the same angles so many times, which means that their perspective is fixed. And when that happens, they begin to feel like there's only one possible reality to the situation. Now, when great coaching intervenes, they don't necessarily provide the client with a great answer. Sometimes we just open the window for them to look at it differently. We reframe the situation for them. And the solution was always there for the client. It's just that they simply did not see it because of their fixed perspective. So coaching brings the ability to see things from a different perspective, which helps them to unlock the situation.
Great. Thank you, Coach Femi. So if you could differentiate or if you could tell the viewers the difference between, reframing and really just telling someone to think positively, how would you explain that?
How do I explain it? What I could do is actually explain it through a real life scenario. Okay, what's the difference between reframing, simply telling a client to, for instance, think positive? I used to hear that quite a lot. Think positive. Oh, it's okay. Now, what usually happens is this. You can usually hear it in the client before you see it in them that they've got a perspective shift. How do you see it? How do you hear it? Sometimes you just hear a client pause, and you can hear a deep breath underneath. They might go, Sometimes it could be their language. They could move from I have to, and that language now becomes I could. That's a shift. In other cases, when you hear a client say, I can't, a perspective shift makes them to now think differently, and they come up with, say, perhaps. One instance that I could share is I had a coaching client. Throughout the session, we're going backwards and forwards, exploring, discovering. We got to a point, they simply smiled and said, I've never thought about it this way before. And that was the perspective shift.
And that example really just gave that a lot of perspective into it's beyond just telling someone, the normal motivational speech or motivational questions. It's actually that shift that comes with it. Coach Femi, this
Absolutely.
has been a insightful conversation. Thank you very much for always being able to share from your wealth of experience. To everyone watching, if this has reframed your perspective, please do well to share this with all of the people in your network who you think needs this. Thank you all, everyone, and see you next time on Coaching Conversation Series. Bye.
Thank you.